Happy Spooky Sunday, everyone, and welcome to the final installment of the Fair River Forest series. If you haven't seen the previous episodes, you may want to check out those ones first. I've included links to them in the description box below. Today's story is called The Aftermath. The funeral was on Sunday. It was a quick affair, officiated by Reverend Stryker, Fair River Forest's Baptist minister. Most of the town came out for it, some out of genuine affections for the deceased, but most from morbid curiosity. Fair River Forest has had its share of strange events, but none quite like this. The Howard sisters were holed up at home with Cam and Grace, avoiding the inevitable paparazzi in the interrogations. Keith Howard would have gone to spit on the grave, but he was still laid up in the hospital. The wooden casket the Reverend presided over was empty. The sheriff's body had not been located, but there was enough evidence to presume him dead. When Deputy Smith had searched the woods after receiving Grace's call, he had found the clearing she had described. Deep burgundy stains coated the grass near the entrance to the fallout shelter, and connected to that was a long, bloody streak that cut across the clearing, disappearing into the woods. Deputy Smith concluded that the sheriff had been dragged away by a hungry animal. Grace had reported hearing his pained shrieks as she and the others were exiting the woods, and that seemed consistent with the deputy's theory. Most folks are satisfied with that answer, as long as they don't think too hard about it. But some questions remain, which chip away at the ease of the explanation. The sheriff was not a slight man. An animal could drag him, sure, but carry him? Probably not. So why did the blood end at the woods? 5 of the 7 missing persons have been accounted for. Willow, Cam, and Haley Jackson were recovered from the fallout shelter that night, and the trio reported that the sheriff had bragged about shooting 2 others. The search for their bodies remains ongoing. But what of Norma Crawford, or Colin Phillips? It is possible that the sheriff killed Colin as well. Willow had left her phone with Colin the night of the photo shoot, and he had placed it in his pocket. Her phone reappeared in the fallout shelter one day, tucked away in the corner of the room. However, the sheriff gloated about his kills. Why would he have stayed quiet about Colin's death if he was responsible for it? Willow did not tell Deputy Smith the full story of Colin's disappearance. She learned her lesson at 15, that if you said something too out of the ordinary, people would turn it against you. When asked what had happened, she said that she thought she saw a creature and turned to run. Colin had run after her. She could tell by the sound of his footsteps. Then she was stopped by the sheriff, and when she turned around, Colin was gone. What she left out was that the creature she saw was the very same being she had seen 6 years before, the Lady of the Woods. The Lady of the Woods had risen up behind Colin, her shadowy form looming behind his shoulder. Colin had turned around, and then he had rushed forward, pushing Willow toward the bridge he had insisted on investigating. Was he still out there, trapped in the hellscape her childhood mind had concocted? That thought eats at her late at night as she is lying in the dark. It is one of many ideas that haunts her when the lights go down. She has not slept well since the day the sheriff thrust her into the fallout shelter, and she is not sure if she will again. Cam has not been sleeping well either. Nighttime is filled with torturous visions, and they awaken swathed in sweat and shaking. On the nights when Willow is there with them, she will curl her body around theirs and stroke their hair, whispering that it is over, that they are safe. She is with them more days than not, but these times are not at all like the night they had spent together as teenagers. There is nothing remotely sexual about any of it. Sharing a bed is an act of survival. Perhaps when the loss of her fiancé is no longer fresh in her mind, there will be another sort of future for her and for them. But for now, they are friends, and Cam can live with that. Grace reminds herself again and again that her shot was not fatal. It was a bullet from his own gun that felled the sheriff, and he was still alive when she left him. But she cannot stop the guilt that nags at her gut, from the knowledge that she had a hand in whatever happened to him. He had been a terrible person, and the world was better off without him, but she wishes his end could have happened without her intervention. She takes comfort in Jane's easy smile and the way her eyes crinkle as she chuckles, her laughter light and melodic like the tinkling of a chandelier. Conversation flows naturally between the two, and in these moments, Grace feels like she belongs here. In a week's time, Fair River will move on. Already folks have begun stringing up their holiday lights and decorating Christmas trees. The first snow will be upon the ground soon. The first sticking snow, that is. There have been flurries, but the accumulations have not lasted more than a day. In a week, the ground will be covered in white, and the snow will linger until April. Children bundled in their warmest clothes will build snow forts and snow critters, although Haley Jackson will not be amongst them. She has hardly interacted with anyone since she was found. She has no memory of the time before the fallout shelter, aside from an occasional flicker of recognition. Her mother and siblings feel alien to her, like distant relatives. Her mother keeps telling her what she likes, her favorite meal, her favorite color, and none of it seems familiar. She looks forward to the days when Cam stops by, sometimes with Willow, sometimes without. Cam is her real sibling, not the teenager who watches her with wide eyes, or the little girl who glares at her. If only she could live with them instead of this alien family. Cam does not talk a lot when they are together, and she is grateful for the silence. There is too much chatter now, from the boy with his loud video games, and the girl who drones about what her dollies are doing, and the woman who is always fussing over whether this is all right or that is all right. Cam asks Haley if she is excited for Christmas, and she shrugs. Christmas is but a distant dream to her, and her letter to Santa she filled with lies. She does not care about Monster High dolls or coloring books. All she wants is to be with her family, with Cam. But she could not ask for that, because she knows the woman she has to call Mom might read the letter before shipping it off, and it would make her sad. The woman is nice enough, and Haley hates making her cry, although it seems to happen a lot. Haley is not the only one feeling indifferent about the holiday season. It has been 10 years since Ned Crawford has felt like celebrating anything. Even though the days are tending toward highs in the 30s and 40s, he bundles up and makes his daily trek out to the porch. There he passes long hours, sitting in Norma's rocking chair, waiting. I hope you enjoyed today's video and the Fair River Forest series. Next week I'm planning on doing a wrap-up video. If you've been watching this from the beginning, you may have noticed that there was kind of an abrupt change in style about halfway through, and so I'll be talking about why I decided to make that change. I'll be talking a little bit about what I thought went well and what I thought didn't go so well, and I would also love to have your feedback, so feel free to tune in then and let me know in the comments what your thoughts are on this. I'll also be talking about my ideas for where this could go in the future. I don't have any concrete plans about what I want to do with this, but I do have some ideas, so I'll be sharing those with you as well. Thank you so much to all of you who tuned in for this series. This was my first time attempting anything like that, and so hopefully you get some enjoyment out of it. I know it was rough in places, trying to write one of these every week while doing a ton of other stuff was more challenging than I thought it would be, but it was an experience, and so I'm glad that you chose to share in this experience with me, and hopefully you get a little bit of enjoyment out of it. I post new videos twice a week, funny or outrageous ones on Wednesdays and spooky ones on Sundays. We're probably going to go back into r/let's not meet from here on out, so if that's the content you like, there'll be more of it. Thanks for watching, and have a great day.